politicians and soccer city developers continue to twist themselves into knots as to how best to repurpose the Qualcomm Stadium land, we have a new player on the horizon. The North American Soccer League, or NASL, confirming they are expanding into the city of San Diego, and NASL team will begin play in 2018 using USD as their temporary home. So with that, I'd like to introduce this man to my left, Mr. Bob Watkins, who before today was formerly known, or best known as a successful international consulting guru, and now you're as of for this interview, you are club president of a yet-to-be-unnamed professional soccer team here in San Diego.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Quite the transition. Oh, should I make you feel comfortable?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay.
That'd be nice.
So could you talk about the transition from being consulting guru to club president?
It's not that difficult. It's a business that you look at that's got a development program to it. So it's like any other corporation or organization, except this is a lot more fun from that standpoint that it's got a round ball and kids kick it. All
right, so the Monday announcement seemed to be cloaked in secrecy. It certainly caught me by surprise. There was going to be a press conference yesterday, then there wasn't, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. Could you talk about the timing of the announcement, and perhaps, am I just making it up in my head, that it seemed almost like a secret announcement?
It's very simple. We have been developing this concept for over 2 years. It's taken us a year to get through the NASL approval process, and we didn't want to build up any false expectations before we had approval. So the idea was keep it quiet. At the same time, that doesn't interfere with what Major League Soccer is trying to do with the investment group that's here trying to bring MLS to San Diego. And we didn't want to do anything that would upset their opportunity, so we decided to wait until we got approval, which was on June 1st, and then we looked at the schedule for rolling something out and said, why don't we wait until after the city determines what it wants to do with the Qualcomm complex, and maybe that helps a little bit with MLS.
So when you were walking around this building 2 months ago, you knew all this was brewing, right?
Yes.
Thanks. Let's the $64,000 question that everyone wants to know. How does this affect MLS? In golf, there's a saying, when you're on the green, first in wins. Does that apply to soccer expansion franchises?
I think it's the first mover approach is with any business. And so I think what we were looking at was trying to become first mover. That's why we looked at the approval process, how long it was going to take. We shortened the process because we went through it relatively quickly. And MLS is still determining what it wants to do, and then the drama around that is causing angst in the community. We just were quiet about it. We wanted to do our business and then bring what we had to town. And we were coming to San Diego before the MLS thing really hit a boil. And so we were not afraid of what was going to be happening or what will happen.
So, but for all those Soccer City people, how do you think they reacted when they heard your announcement? Honestly,
that's a tough one, because
do you think they're like, oh,
we got 700,000? We got 700,000 hits on our website. So I think what it is I think what it shows is that there's a pent-up demand for soccer in general in San Diego.
So in your world, there can be two professional soccer teams in the city of San Diego, and they can coexist and both thrive.
Sure. How many TV stations do we have? And they all thrive.
Oh, don't go there. Don't go there. All right, I'll tell you what gives your deal instant global appeal is the cachet of the international players. Can you talk about Mr. Demba Ba and his friends that are all?
Yes.
How do I refer to them as owners, or how do I refer to them?
They are my boss.
They are your boss.
They are the investors.
So they're the money behind. But they're also they bring a brand, do they not?
Yes, they do. When I first met Demba maybe 6 months ago, he came to San Diego, and he and a couple of us went up to Del Mar, to where the kids are playing soccer up there, just to see what was happening. And as we walked across the field, we were unannounced, and as we walked across the field, and close to these 1,000 kids who were playing soccer, they stopped playing soccer. And they started running up. And I thought, what is going on? I mean, I just met this gentleman maybe a few hours ago, and here he's drawing all these kids. So I said to myself, there's some magic going on here. These kids know who he is, and they know who Eden Hazard is. They know who Johan Cabay is, and they know who Moses So is. So when you see that kind of action, I mean, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. These kids just stopped. And I thought, this is magic. This has got to work.
All right, here let me play devil's advocate. I've been here 2 decades. I've seen or I heard about NBA leaving. I've seen an NFL team leave. I've seen countless other projects like this, some successful, some not, come and go. You know, San Diego is supposed to be this global city, world-class city, and no offense intended, but is this what we are, an NASL town? I mean,
I don't want to get branded by NASL or MLS or anything else. What we're looking at is trying to build soccer in San Diego. So we're going to develop taproots here in terms of the development programs, and the sustainability of what we're doing will be based upon attendance at games, obviously, for the sustainability of the franchise. But when you look at what's going to be happening in terms of below all of that activity, it's really based upon kids, the development of kids, not taking advantage of kids, but really exploiting the opportunity for them to reach their pathway to get to professional sports.
Back in 2016, the NASL lost 4 teams to the MLS. You know, so you see something like that, you have to wonder about the league's long-term survivability. Are you comfortable with that?
Very comfortable. We assessed that when we were going through the process of our due diligence on the activity. And, you know, when you look at, if you're classified as second division, where do you want to go? You want to go to first division. So some cities around the United States didn't have MLS. There were NPSL, there was USL, there was NASL, and some clubs made the jump into that. Does it impact your league? Sure. We've just added 3 teams in the last 6 months to the NASL. So now we have 11. We'll have 12 before the end of the year. So we're going to have a full league, and it'll be that sort of unannounced promotion relegation.
I've got about 30 seconds left. I want to get 2 questions in, so short answers. You're looking around North County. USD is a temporary home in 2018. Correct. When do you think you'll have your permanent home pick?
Probably in about a month.
So those negotiations are underway.
Correct.
So somebody knows where they're going to have a stadium. And lastly, you are the San Diego. Tell me you're not the FC Footy Footfaces, or what's your name going to be?
Right now it's SanDiegoNSL.com.
And that's what it'll be in for how long?
For about 3 or 4 weeks. We're in the process of running all that naming through the intellectual property process with our attorneys, just to make sure we're not stealing anybody's name and don't use anybody's name locally.
Bob, I want to make you this wager. We do this interview again.
We will.
Sometime in the near future.
Was it that bad?
No, we don't have to do it over. Bob Watkins, everybody. Coming up tomorrow, we have 2 special guests. Kelsey McCowan will be in talking about OTL, and Chris Ello's doing his thing at 6:45. That is it for now. For Mr. Watkins, for Mr. Rudy, back to